In an instant I was swept into a cosmic embrace. Planets, stars, galaxies themselves folded inward, drawn into a divine hug of infinite scale. Every atom of the universe vibrated in love. I was cradled against what I can only describe as the heart of God. Welcome to Let's Lift the Veil. In tonight's journey, we step beyond the edge of life, into the light itself. A woman faces death through an allergic reaction that stops her heart. But what she discovers on the other side will forever challenge what we think we know about love, God, and identity. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share this story with those who seek to understand what lies beyond. Now close your eyes, breathe in, and let's lift the veil together. It started like any ordinary evening. I was walking my dog under the dim amber glow of the streetlights when I began sneezing once, twice, then over and over. I laughed at first, thinking it was just the cool air or maybe a bit of pollen. But within minutes, the sneezing became relentless. My throat began to tighten. By the time I reached my apartment on the 5th floor, a strange warmth was spreading across my body. My palms itched. My eyes were swelling. My tongue felt too large for my mouth. "My God," I whispered, "something's wrong." My wife looked up from the couch, alarm flashing in her eyes. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed her purse and rushed across the street to the grocery store for Benadryl. I stayed behind, sitting in a chair near the door, trying to breathe through a tightening throat. My skin felt like it was on fire. Then came the wave of dizziness. I tried to call after her, but the words wouldn't form. The air simply stopped. In those moments before everything faded, I texted her, "Call an ambulance." And then silence. My body went limp, and darkness surrounded me. An endless void, silent and absolute. There was no fear, no pain. Just a sudden awareness that I was no longer in the world I knew. But then, in the faintest distance, my dog's frantic barking pierced the void, like an alarm of love. The vibration of his bark reached me, and somehow it pulled me back. I gasped awake, choking for air. My body was drenched in sweat. I stumbled to the door, driven by some instinct that told me I needed to move. I needed to reach the elevator. Each step felt heavier than the last. The air around me thickened, my vision blurring. I thought, so this is how it ends, really? And then I fell. The last thing I remember in this world was the cold floor beneath my cheek, and then suddenly, the light. My eyes opened in death, but not in darkness. I opened them into a brilliance so pure that words fail to describe it. I was no longer in human form. My body had become radiant, translucent, a light body. I could see myself reflected in that very light, a living energy of awareness. I was being pulled upward, not by force but by love itself. It felt like riding a cosmic elevator through a tunnel made of silver luminescence, surrounded by a vast darkness that wasn't empty, It was full of potential, like the womb of creation. The speed was beyond comprehension, yet I felt completely safe. I knew I was going home. Then, emerging from the edges of that darkness, I saw 4 luminous figures. My grandparents, both sets from both sides of my family. I recognized them instantly, not by faces but by essence. Their light radiated love and humor, warmth and familiarity. Through pure telepathy, they spoke to me.
"We're sorry. We didn't understand what you went through."
Their apology pierced me with emotion. They told me that now from the other side, they understood how much fear I had carried growing up gay in the Southern Baptist Bible Belt. As a child, I was told my love was an abomination, that I was destined for the lake of fire. I had lived in silence and shame, hiding my truth for decades. Hearing my grandparents acknowledge that pain, it was healing beyond words. They said gently,
"It's not your time. You need to go back."
But I couldn't. I didn't want to. I looked toward the radiant light ahead and said, "I have somewhere else to go." They smiled with a spark of humor and stepped back into the void. I turned toward the light, and what I saw was God. Not the stern, judging God I'd been taught to fear, but a presence so vast, so alive with love, that the entire universe seemed to breathe within it. I felt everything happening at once. My past, my memories, every hurt and every joy, blending into divine understanding. As I stared into the light, a wave of heaviness settled in my chest. The memory of every insult, every slur, every moment I had believed I was unworthy of love, and trembling, I asked the question that had haunted my soul since childhood. "I'm gay. Will you still love me?" The light responded not with words, but with movement. It expanded, transformed into wings of radiant energy. In an instant, I was swept into a cosmic embrace. Planets, stars, galaxies themselves folded inward, drawn into a divine hug of infinite scale. Every atom of the universe vibrated in love. I was cradled against what I can only describe as the heart of God. And in a voice filled with warmth and a southern accent that made me smile even through tears, he said,
"You are my child. I love you. I love you. I love you. Go tell him."
Then, like a coach encouraging a player, he patted me gently on the back with his wing, and I was sent tumbling back into my body. The return was violent. My body slammed with density. I couldn't breathe. My chest was pounding. The freedom of the light was gone, replaced by the painful weight of flesh. I managed to crawl a few more steps down the hallway before collapsing again. My wife found me moments later. She lifted me, my dead, heavy body, and carried me toward the elevator. She's 5'2" and I'm 5'10", but somehow love gave her strength. I drifted in and out of darkness. Then I heard her voice, trembling but determined.
"Hold on, Penny! Hold on."
When I came to, I was lying in her arms, whispering, "I love you. I'm going home." I slipped back into darkness. The next thing I remember was a bright voice shouting my name.
Penny, I heard you played basketball.
The words hit me like lightning. I opened my eyes to see a man's face glowing with a kind smile. He was an army medic who'd happened to be in the elevator. The moment I focused on that smile, I snapped fully back into life. Paramedics rushed in, pulling me out of the elevator. I couldn't move. My body felt like stone, but I could hear everything. I tried to speak telepathically. "You know where I've been. You know how heavy these bodies are." But no one could hear me. They lifted me onto the stretcher and took me to the ER. I had died 4 times that night. My life behind the veil. When I woke up the next morning in the hospital, everything felt wrong. Too dense, too loud, too heavy. I had seen eternity, and now I was trapped again in matter. The doctors couldn't explain what had happened. Over the next 3 weeks, I went into anaphylactic shock 6 more times. They found no allergens, no triggers, no answers. Eventually, the episodes stopped as mysteriously as they began. But I wasn't the same person. I could no longer function in the world I once knew. My 22-year career in financial technology. Gone. I forgot how to use computers. My memory slipped away from ordinary things, but my awareness of the spiritual realm became vivid. I began seeing energy, feeling vibrations, sensing presences that others couldn't. I discovered that I could communicate telepathically, receive insights, and even see spirits. They were never frightening, just there. I began creating orgone pyramids, translating energy into art. My hands seemed to move with an intelligence of their own. My home filled with crystals, books, and quiet meditations. The woman who once lived for technology now spent her days seeking light. I meditate daily. I read everything I can about consciousness and the afterlife. I speak often about death, not from fear but from reverence. Friends drifted away. Some couldn't understand. My wife said I wasn't the same person anymore. She was right. I wasn't. But I was finally whole. I now know that God's love has no conditions, that love itself is the key to everything. We are not separate from the divine. We are the divine in motion. When I tell my story, I do it so that others who feel unworthy, unloved, or condemned can know, you are none of those things. You are light. You are love. And when I close my eyes at night, I sometimes still feel it. That cosmic hug, the whisper that echoes through the stars.
You are my child. I love you. Go tell 'em.
Thank you for listening to this near-death experience. You've just witnessed a story that transcends belief, a journey through death, fear, and unconditional love. What if the light that awaits us isn't judgment, but absolute acceptance? If this story touched you, let us know in the comments below. Share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more real experiences from beyond the veil. For more first-hand accounts, watch the next episode on the following screen. New narratives drop regularly. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss one. Let's keep lifting the veil, one episode at a time. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you soon for another journey beyond the veil.